Welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 23rd, the beautiful month of May. I hope everyone, and I mean everyone, is out at least a little bit enjoying the beauty of this month and the next month as well. We have certainly earned it and deserve it. Just get out if you can, open the windows, breathe in the fresh, beautiful air, get renewed. It's a time of renewal and rebirthing and new beginnings, for this is the beginning of spring. We've been into the beginning of spring for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and we're just literally emerging out of our cocoons through our metamorphosis into the early butterfly phase of the blue sky mind. And in the great blue sky is the awareness that we allow good vibes only. Good vibes to you and yours and everyone around these parts, hither, thither, and yon, around here and all around here. And that is the great upper Midwest, the great granary of the upper Midwest of the Mississippi watershed, Minnesota, Wisconsin, upper Iowa, and upper Illinois. And in the land between two rivers, which is the Missouri and the Mississippi, it could be the Columbia, it could be the Colorado, it could be the Tennessee, the Ohio, the Connecticut. All are beautiful rivers, or the Monongahela, or the Swanee. All rivers lead to the source and come from the source, bubbling up in little springs and rivulets and eddies into little streams and then little creeks and then mighty rivers. So may this become a mighty river for you today, dear friend, from the little water sources of that spring from the cloud of unknowing and the principle of uncertainty that will be unfolding. Today we're going to call this, I wonder where the lions are. And that's a portion of wonder. I wonder where the lions are. A little bit of delight, and again, in a gratitude way. This is fresh off the press, just written within the last half hour or so, and may it be a heart song, a direct yogic perception into your heart, intuitively and empathically speaking, as we develop the imaginal body. The imaginal body is an acausal connecting principle. High falutin words there. Acausal connecting principle, which means you can't prove it. You can't find a formula for it. It doesn't fit into the mathematical, Latinate, buckled down, reductionist, positivistic universe that scientists want us to live in. But some scientists have a mystical portion of themselves, a little portion, in which the imaginal body can take hold and take root as imagination. And that forms empathy, and it also helps our affective body, which is our immune system. And we can, through our imaginal body, we can learn to become exempt from all things that we really don't want in our lives. So just visualize, I am exempt. But more than that, I receive, I receive, I receive. We're in the halfway portion of La Luna, the moon. The moon in May, the 23rd of May will be about halfway. We're moving toward the full moon. A little past halfway is Wednesday the 23rd. And we have just passed into Gemini, which is May 20th to June 21st. And we'll be moving toward the full moon of May, which is Tuesday the 29th, which this will probably be airing on the 29th, so it'll be a full moon night and the full moon it'll be a west day, and the full moon will be in Sagittarius at 9:19 in the morning, Central Daylight Time. So you can adjust it to 7:19 if you're on the West Coast. So the full moon will be in Sagittarius, and it will be a west day, a day from the great medicine wheel in the west. And as we move into Gemini, let us take a look at what Gemini is. Gemini is a powerful year to get more creative about expressing our voice, our thoughts, and our perceptions. Hear that? Is to get more creative about expressing our voice, thoughts, and perceptions. We have permission to play. Our voice matters in the world, dear friend. Let us be open to new ideas and let the sparks of inspiration fly. We might raise the vibration of those around us. That's what the North Node in Leo and the South Node in Aquarius have to say. Raise the vibration of those around us so we can play. Venus enters Gemini April and May, a beautiful time to fall in love with ourselves. Explore our voice and follow it to expressions of deeper beauty, which we're going to do today when we wonder where the lions are. A deeper beauty, harmony, and self-appreciation. June's new moon in Gemini inspires us to express or understand our relationship with the masculine and feminine in new ways. Mercury squares Chiron, the wounded healer. Here, take greater care in what we say and how we say it. Let us take greater care in what we say and how we say it. Throughout the year, Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn remind us to act with integrity when dealing with finances, energy, psychological, and spiritual states that arise in powerful, intimate commitments with others. Say that again. Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn remind us to act with integrity when dealing with finances, energy, psychological, and spiritual states that arise in powerful, intimate communication and commitments with others. As Chiron appears to exit Pisces, now remember, Chiron is the wounded healer. We may want to leave or let go of habitual patterns that no longer serve us in our career, in our life, or our public image. Between November 2018 and January 2019, and we're about halfway between both right now, the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn and Uranus and Aries aspecting one another will create ripples of change for us all. Time to negotiate a better work-life balance and to explore a new sense of identity. Gemini, this energy changes material circumstances and promotes connection with friends that will broaden our mind. So this energy changes material circumstances and promotes connections with friends who will broaden our minds. This dynamic will come sharply into focus with the Gemini full moon in November. So we're coming into another full moon on the 29th, and between the 29th of May and the 29th of November, the Gemini full moon in November, this will be a time for promoting connections with friends that broadens our minds. And make sure we get enough rest and sleep as Uranus prepares to enter Taurus throughout 2018. And Uranus is a little known planet. It's one of the large planets. And in the Moody Blues, they have a song, actually an album, called In Search of the Lost Chord. And in search of the lost chord is the musical spheres that emanate from Uranus. And that's the notes from the lost chord. It's always too important to receive and be aware of and be receptive to Uranus. This is a glance for Gemini between May 20th and June 21st of shifting priorities, especially in finances, energy, psychological, and spiritual states, which arise in powerful, intimate commitments with others. And so may this breathe it in a little bit. This is the astrological planetary weather report for May 20th to June 21st. And may this full moon in May, this Gemini full moon of the 29th, be a water planet, this dispensation, a transmission from a Buddha who was known to be called the Buddha Maitreya. So this is for people who are tuned in on that vibrational frequency resonance field, where this full moon is the third full moon of the vernal equinox. The first one was the Easter full moon, which is the full moon of Jesus, Jesus Christ. The second was the Wesak full moon in April, and that was the Buddha. And so the Jesus full moon of Easter is the full moon of love. The Wesak Buddha full moon of April is the full moon of light. And then this will be a synchronicity, a syncretistic confluence of both full moons of the Maitreya light of Shambhala, which is this hidden kingdom in the Himalayas in Tibet that only appears once a year at the full moon of the Buddha and Jesus, which would be the full moon of love and light. So this is one that we receive this light of the light of the Buddha and the love of Jesus. I am, God created me in the love, in the light, in the glory. So this is Via Gloriosa full moon. This is the love and the light and the glory of both full moons in full splendor have I received. So this is a time for receiving an energy coming up and receiving and fulfilling and strengthening and healing to become the child of God that we're all meant to become through this transmission. And in Shambhala, which is in Tibet, this particular full moon is the once-in-a-year ceremony that is held in some hidden mystery valleys where adepts and chelas and initiates receive the energy of the Buddha and of Jesus in this Maitreya full moon, with the affirmation, "May peace prevail upon earth and the rainbow hoops of all the nations." So emanations from this, we can open our windows on that full moon and receive the same light as we focus on being there non-locally, but bilocate if we shall, up into the high Himalayas, into that hidden valley to receive that special light of the Buddha, Jesus, Maitreya full moon for all adepts, chelas, sannyasins, initiates, and novices. No matter what spiritual tradition we come from, or any, I receive is the way, the truth, and the life. I receive, I receive, I receive. This is the light of the Buddha, Jesus, love and light full moon. So please pay attention and be receptive. soft pathing our light, our lives. For this is the full moon of the love, the light, and the glory. And this could be called the way. And the way is both occidental and oriental. Jesus' full moon is the full moon of the occidental. The Buddha full moon is the full moon of the oriental. So this will be a planetary full moon receiving light and love from both spheres. Into the hydrosphere, higher up into the atmosphere, into the ionosphere, reaching up into the noosphere, and then back down through us as receivers of that light into the breath that we take, the pneuma of the noosphere. And this is etheric in its nature, and we'll cover more of that. But to know that this esoteric understanding is to be given to those of us, because when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. And let us all be ready and open our portals of consciousness to the hymn of the universe, of the divine milieu unfolding right before our feet, right before our eyes. Let us receive the divinized light of manifest divinity. So this is esoteric, but that's what GreenFire is. It's the etheric light within all of us as we sit around the electronic campfire of the golden eternity of this hour. And we can howl at the moon and howl with the wolves. We can go out running with the wolves and howl at the moon. And this is part of our Eolithic, Neolithic self moving into our echozoic self. This is all pre-dawn consciousness. We could call it pre-Socratic consciousness. An ancient future reclaiming of our ancient self and our future self through our ancestors and through the seventh generation yet to come in the golden eternity of now. And if this is sacrament, if you treat it as sacrament, cannabis can be used as a reverence sacrament around these ceremonies. So with reverence, cannabis is a very healing gift, a gift from the star people. And it's time that it become legal, because hemp can help save the earth from climate change and all other problems we have. We don't need pesticides and insecticides to grow hemp. And cannabis is good for what ails us. It's a medical, it's a medicine, it's a sweet medicine. And we are, as human beings, set up for it. We have receptors, proprioceptors, and neuroreceptors all set up to respond to the different medicines that cannabis gives to the human being. That's a civilized plant when we have cannabis, which has been with us for thousands of years because it was a gift from the star people. It was a gift from the Creator. So let's use it with reverence and sacrament. And we can then breathe in and breathe out with a friendly, good vibes always, in all ways. So it's always, but it's always, A-L-L, ways, always, for the rainbow family of living light. So we want to live lightly on Mother Earth, and part of that is to lighten up. So we light up a little cannabis from here and there, and round over here, hither, thither, and yon. And we'll begin with, I wonder where the lions are. I wonder where the lions are. This is a letter to myself from the ancient future, a letter to the Eolithic from the Echozoic yet to come, that we are all moving into a new dispensation, a new age. A letter to the Egozoic from the Echozoic. A letter to my magical child from the Echozoic. This is to awaken the magical child within each and every one of us, and the divinized mind and a delightful smile. It is May. I hear the sound of a power saw off across the neighborhood in some little house across the street, whirring into my window. What kind of a window is this? A window that dreams dreams beyond everyone who sits before screens all day and emits silent screams. This is not a window that screams. This is beyond the window of screams. This is a letter to the magical child of May from William Blake and Percy Bysshe Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft and Lord Byron and all the other mystics, Meister Eckhart, to the sacred healing powers of May. To heal a crippled child and help him walk. To heal a crippled child and help her walk. To help him have hope. To help him have beauty. To help him see beauty before him, beauty behind him, beauty above him, beauty below him, beauty behind him, beauty surrounding him, so he may walk in beauty again, once again, for the very first time here in May, so he can have a new beginning, and this little girl and this little boy can have a new beginning and be renewed once again, so he can be renewed to his possible and true self, so he can have soul renewal from the horrible, obscene wars he was conscripted into also in the month of May, almost this very day. So he can have retrieval of dispersed energy from the loss of his brother who was killed, whose birthday is also in May. So his acausal self, that's his non-scientific self, this is his free self, so his acausal self can have connecting principle once again. This connecting principle re-establishes and re-inhabits the soul in this soul renewal here at the assemblage point, where he can set his intent out under the beautiful trees flowering in May, to walk in beauty, to put down his tent in the golden eternity of now, here in the living time, here at the assemblage point, where he can set his intent to walk in beauty, to put down his tent in the golden eternity of now, here in the living time, to be here now, tat vam asi, thou art that, thou art that. This is no little talk. This is no smatterings of chatter, or chattel, or cattle, among somnambulists sleepwalking in a cultural trance, in a narcolepsy, nor the clapping walruses cheering for war in the corridors of horror in the halls of the United States Congress, in the belly of the beast in the Babylon of empire. This is no little talk. This is no smatterings of chatter among somnambulists in a cultural trance, nor the clapping walruses cheering for war in the corridors of horror, in the U.S. halls of Congress, in the belly of the beast, in the Babylon of empire. This is Exodus song. This is Exodus song. This is Exodus song for all Jah people, and it begins with I and I. I am. God created me in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the golden light, in the eye of the dove. I am. God created me in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. God created me in the light, in the love, and the glory. I am. God created me in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the golden light, in the eye of the dove, knowing that I can love myself. I know that I am alive. Knowing that I can love myself, I know I am alive. And I wonder where the lions are. 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 And their strength of the light, of returning sunlight, and their fierce, ruthless compassion, and their pride, won through walking in beauty. And I wonder where the lions are, and their strength of the light, of returning sunlight, and their fierce, ruthless compassion, and their pride won through walking in beauty, and the joy of the journey. And I wonder where the lions are, and the joy of the journey through walking in beauty. And I wonder where the lions are. They are dancing on the hills of morning. And I wonder where the lions are. They are rolling in the dew. And I wonder where the lions are. They are in the mist-covered path. And I wonder where the lions are. They are dancing on the hills of morning. They are rolling in the dew of the mist-covered path. They are putting on new clothes, the clothes of beauty, of nobility, of dignity. They are manifest divinity in their daily walk. They are walking in divinized radiance in this earth walk, right into the heart of man. They are manifest divinity in their daily walk. They are walking in divinized radiance in this earth walk, right into the heart of man, through bird song, through joy in the morning. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are, as they have reverence for trees. And I wonder where the lions are, as they look into the heart of man, here at the gate. And I wonder where the lions are, as they look into the heart of man, here at the gate. Gate, gate, parasam gate. Gate, gate, parasam gate. And I wonder where the lions are. And the curiosity principle rises them up to explore. And I wonder where the lions are. And the curiosity principle rises them up to explore the fields, the resonance fields of our daily frequency. And they see the possibility in this curiosity to change the fixity deeply embedded in the straits of man, to help him get his head right. And I wonder where the lions are as they look into the heart of man. Here at the gate, 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 parasamgate, and the curiosity principle rises them up to explore the fields and the resonance fields of our daily frequency, our daily walkabout. And they see the possibility in this curiosity to change the fixity deeply embedded in the straight-jacketed, hooded, blinded, straight-looking man in the straits of man, to help him get his head right and to take off his blinders. And I wonder where the lions are as they help and as they look into the heart of man to help him get his head right through animus of the stone people to roll right. Through the animus of the stone people to roll right. It in, of, as, and through the divinization process of the phenomenon of man. The divine milieu. And they're going to help man get his head right through animus of the stone people who speak through the blue eyes of liberation, to the roll right stone people in, of, as, and through Stonehenge, the divinization process of the phenomenon of man. This is the divine plan. This is the divine plan. Right here, right now. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are. Dear friend, they are right here in me and you, doing their duty, walking beauty. If we ever wake up long enough to see them, the lions give us the power of speech. The lions give us the power of beauty. The lions give us courage to hold on, to have fierce love and rage. The lions give us courage to stalk. The lions give us courage to pray. The lions give us courage to hunt. The lions give us courage to overcome. The lions give us courage to keep on keeping on. The lions give us courage to accomplish. The lions give us courage to walk in power. The lions give us courage to walk in a royal way, in the real world, the real world, the good red road world, the road of life. The lions give us courage to walk in harmony with peace and justice. The lions give us courage to walk with amor y rabia. The lions give us courage to walk in the ecstasy of love here in this season of lust, this season of sacred lust. The lions give us courage to walk in ecstasy, the ecstasy of love, to live in ecstasy and love, in the sea of love. Love is all there is. Bhavanam kevalam. Love is all there is. Bhavanam kevalam. Love is all there is. This is the good vibes. The lions give us courage to walk in harmony with peace and justice, with racial equality and biodiversity and love and rage. The lions give us courage to walk into this season of sacred lust. The lions give us courage to walk in ecstasy of love. In this sea of love, the lions give us courage to live in ecstasy and love. Ah, the lions give us courage to walk in beauty. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are. Ah, I wonder where the lions are. In this mist-filled path, we return to our ancient self, our Celtic Druidic self of the northern soul. Come now to the secret places of the soul. Let us each inspect ourselves with care, looking at the emotions which stir our hearts and the thoughts which run through us and the thoughts which run through our minds. Let us learn the essential goodness of the heart from the heart itself. That was Morgan of Wales, known as Pelagius. And the spirit of hospitality during holidays is the hearth of the Celtic tradition. And these different hospitalities are different for different regions. Southern hospitality is well known. Celtic hospitality, however, from which so much Southern hospitality springs, is legendary. We can look back to our childhoods and recognize something of a distinctive Southern Celtic spirit of hospitality that is always present through our ancestors, our grandparents, and our parents. This ever-present love and openness to people, all sorts of people. No doubt there are a number of ways in which homeland Celtic cultures have shaped and formed much of the American Southern, Appalachian, Ozarkian, and Canadian Nova Scotian cultures, as well as Maine and New England. Hospitality is one of these shaping forces. Hospitality is the first face revealed by the Celtic spirit. Even ghosts and angels and fairies are traditionally extended hospitality in Celtic tradition. One old Irish proverb says, "Never turn any stranger away." It could be an angel in disguise. The preeminent Scottish and Celtic scholar Anne Ross says that travelers have always been astonished at the unquestioning generosity of the Highlanders to the stranger. My people come from the Highland. The custom of always leaving a portion for the man on the hill. That is, the chance guest is widely observed in the Highlands. The stranger had only to arrive at even the poorest dwelling to be given a portion of whatever happened to be available. Such was the sacredness of the stranger and the traveler in the eyes of the Highlanders, to whom hospitality was not almost a religion, it was a form of spirituality. And Southern hospitality as a cultural sensitivity stands on its own feet. But for many families, this abiding spirit was no doubt shaped by and patterned on the Celtic ancestors who came to these shores and who modified and modeled this way of being on their own ways. It is a way of living from the heart and extending the heart to the stranger. On the Celtic road of life, there are no strangers, at least not for very long. For this and many other reasons, it is so disheartening to see white supremacists co-opt the beautiful ideals of the Celtic culture and our associated symbols and mythic images to express their intolerance and hate. What an astonishing aberration, especially given the fact that many of these Celtic descendants had from ancestors who were also recipients of oppression, and they came from ancestors who were recipients of oppression, genocide, and racism from the English and the aristocracy and the elite, the royal, not so royal houses of Europe, all of them. Although there are generous, glorious examples of Celtic people both in Ireland and the American South supporting African Americans and Native Americans in their fight for freedom and civil rights, there are also deplorable expressions of Celtic descendants who have become racists and oppressors themselves. The Celtic spirit of hospitality has left their hearts and their hearts. And another face of the spirit of hospitality is comes in many ways, and it could be on a Sunday morning when the spirit of hospitality blew in like a holy wind. It was a Sunday morning like any other, and the associate minister was reading the liturgy in the United Methodist tradition, from which my mother and grandmother come from, and the all-white congregation was preparing to take Holy Communion. On this particular Sunday, something out of the ordinary occurred, however. Right when the senior minister were about ready to offer communion, a poor, disheveled African-American man wandered in off the city street, complete with a McDonald's hamburger in his hand. He made his way down to the very first row and sat down. The man was a street person. One could tell that his presence had made many of the parishioners uncomfortable. The presence of the man, we might say, put us all into non-ordinary reality. He was, by some standards, out of place. Yet his presence was beautiful. It put everyone on call that morning, putting to the test the notion so many have come to associate with the Methodist tradition, that all are welcome. Women in fur coats shifted uneasily in the pews. Men squirmed in their Sunday best and fiddled with their beards. A thick tension hung in the room, as if a common mind held a common question. How are the ministers going to handle this one? To glee, the ministers did not handle anything. When it came time for the front row to make its way up to the front of the church for communion, the gentleman carefully placed his hamburger down on the railing in front of him and stood up. The row of people shuffled, a bit awkwardly, to another railing where one kneels to receive the unleavened bread and grape juice. What happened in that moment to some eyes was nothing special. Yet in this Mississippi morning, it felt like a historic event. Without hesitation, the street person was given Holy Communion, just like anyone else. He was not passed over. He was not asked whether he had lost his way. He was given the blood of Christ from a reverend named Jack Laughlin, another Scots-Irish-American Southerner. And when it came to the man's place in the line of kneeling parishioners, he simply smiled, nodded, and uttered the words, "The body of Christ given to you." The spirit of hospitality stood off to the side and wept at the beauty of it all. Wept with joy that hospitality had been granted where it had been needed most. This spiritual tradition is real, and although different from faith to faith, from time to time in outer form, it also shapes us to this very day. As a shaper of the world and a participant in the soul of the world, dear friend, we are all participants in the soul of the world. We cannot ignore this influence on our lives and our souls, this hospitality. We value the power of the heart reflected by the spirit of hospitality taught by us by this example and many examples in our own lives. This is just one of many that we learn from each and every day. The way of the heart. And again, the poem given to us here at this drinking water place, this renewal place where we wonder where the lions are in the sacred space of May. Come now to the secret places of the soul. Let us inspect ourselves with care, looking at the emotions which stir our hearts and the thoughts which run through our minds. Let us learn the essential goodness of the heart from the heart itself. So we learn that, we hear that, goes into our ears, goes into our head, right? And that's the first time we hear it. And the second time we hear it, it goes into our heart. So let us listen to this a second time, and let us see it go into our heart. Come now to the secret place of the soul. Let us inspect ourselves with care. Let's inspect ourselves with care. Let's look at the emotions which stir our hearts. And let's look at the emotions which stir our hearts and the thoughts which run through our minds. So the emotions which stir our hearts and the thoughts which are running through our minds. Let us learn the essential goodness of the heart from the heart itself. Let us learn the essential goodness of the heart from the heart itself. For the way of the heart is to let us learn the essential goodness of the heart from the heart itself. This is Morgan of Wales, better known as Pelagius. And this is the letters of Pelagius. You can look it up, the letters of Pelagius, Pelagius. We always want to learn and read literature. Literature is good for our souls. This is sacred literature, the way of the heart, from the mist-filled path. And so now we turn to matters of current social, great social import. The work of democracy. Plato was not a fan of democracy. Most people are not attentive to the art of government and are not particularly interested in educating themselves. He wrote in the Republic, "Some withdraw from the affairs of state entirely, not voting, not caring, just attending to their own small interests. These are the idiots. Most ruled by their emotions and so easily deceived." Can you clue yourself in what you see going on right now? And can be lured into supporting stupid wars or larcenous politicians. Some people withdraw from the affairs of state entirely, not voting, not caring, just attending to their own interests, their very small interests. These are the idiots. Most ruled by their emotions and so easily deceived, can be lured into supporting stupid wars or larcenous politicians who will steal them blind while they are cheering them on. The oligarchs and the plutocrats, the rich bastards, the few and the wealthy take good advantage of the citizens' weaknesses to seize power. These oligarchs and plutocrats know your ways very well. The few and the wealthy, the 1%ers, they take good advantage of the citizens' weaknesses to seize power. Did you see how that seizing of power happened in 2016? It's easy enough to fool most people with appeals to fear or hatred. It's easy enough to buy their votes or simply ignore the law and take what you want. That's exactly what's happening right now in the entire realm of the government. with the present regime of number 45. So democracies always turn into oligarchies. Plato believed that. Oligarchies, for their part, inevitably become anarchies. That's because the people, unjustly and brutally impoverished, slaughtered in wars that profit only the wealthy, rise up in despairing anger and destroy the government. And that oligarchy becomes an anarchy. This was Greece around 380 BCE, that is, around 2,400 years ago, within 2 years of 2,400 years ago. But damn, it sure sounds familiar. The United States has clearly made the transition from a democracy to a plutocratic oligarchy. And for all the reasons Plato cited. The big question is not whether the oligarchy will last. It will not. Injustice is inherently unstable. The big question is whether the oligarchy will be dismantled by an orderly return to democracy or by rapid and irreversible anarchy. I think it has come to that. Either way, the people will not tolerate forever a system that, let's lay it out, A, forces them to bear the risks of the recklessness of a few powerful profiteers, to assume the burdens of others' privilege, and to pay the real costs of destructive industries in the currency of their health and the hopes of their children's health. And B, in the process, threatens to disrupt forever the great planetary cycles that support all the lives on Earth. This is for you out there in Keeley Radio and Lakota Nation, the Lakota, Oglala, and Porcupine, and all of indigenous Lakota Nation out there. Hello, peace. We're wearing your shirt, K-I-L-I, and the rainbow hoop of all the nations, red, yellow, black, and white. In the process of this, the oligarchy threatens to disrupt forever the great planetary cycles that support all the lives on Earth. Climate change, toxic neighborhoods, financial recklessness, jobs despair, concentrated wealth, wholesale extinctions, wholesale foreclosures on homes, wholesale evictions, pointless war. It escapes no one's attention that all these connect to a central social pathology, which is the funding, one might say, the buying and selling of elections and of the elected by powerful centers of wealth, the Koch brothers, Adelson, and their ilk. Mostly corporations, mostly destructive and extractive corporations, which are the oil companies, coal shale, fracking, all of that, of King Kong, coal, oil, nuclear, and gas, including natural gas, propane, all of that. And these powerful centers of wealth, mostly corporations, mostly destructive and extractive corporations. Our erstwhile democracy has now developed a futures market in politicians. This has created a situation in which the government is fundamentally controlled by those, I think it's more like 10 or 15 minutes. Really? Okay. This has created a situation in which the government is fundamentally controlled by those who would risk or wreck. Name your favorite economy, environment, children's futures. And they would wreck all these futures, dear friends, for their own short-term gain. The consequence is, of course, that the destructive few are moving into position to control the rate. This is key right here. Now listen in. Please listen in. The consequence is that this destructive few are moving into position to control the regulatory agencies like Environmental Protection Agency and potential regulations that might have limited their recklessness and greed. They're going to control these regulatory agencies. They have the consequent power to close off options for resolving the environmental and economic emergencies. They have the power to block federal accounts or federal actions that might prevent injustices. They have the power to block actions that might prevent these injustices. But are they doing it? No! They have the power to bulldoze the natural systems that sustain our lives, and they're doing it. Look at Exxon, look at Keystone Pipeline, look at Standing Rock, look at all of this stuff coming through Iowa here. We need smaller government, the oligarchs cry, which is code for, this is code. We need a government that is toothless enough to allow unregulated corporations to raid and degrade the commons without consequence. Self-created environmental catastrophe has taken down many civilizations before ours. We're just the latest in a long group here. But this time, the self-inflicted catastrophe of climate change will take down also the hydrosphere, the hydrological cycles and relative climate stability that have allowed the evolution of the world that we know and love. The time has passed for an environmental movement. The time has passed for a climate change movement. That time has passed. The time has passed for isolated grassroots movements. We stand on ground that trembles with tectonic movement. Look at Kilauea. Along the straining fault lines of our civilization, we feel the building forces for justice, sanity, and lasting ecological and cultural thriving. When it comes, this will be the big one. When it comes, this will be the big one. The coming together of all of us who care about the future and do not want to gamble it away. The big one will shake the world way beyond a 9-point seismic earthquake and way beyond the largest seismic tsunami that's ever hit the planet. The big one will shake the world, and we're part of it, dear friends. Please do your part. That's what we all do. Each one teach one, each one reach one, as we all do our part in this heart song of life. Because we're dancing in the halls of wonder together. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are. And I wonder where the lions are. They are dancing on the hills of morning. They are rolling in the dew of the mist-covered path. They are putting on new clothes of beauty, nobility, dignity. They are manifest divinity in their daily walk, right into the heart of man through the bird song. And I wonder where the lions are as they have reverence for trees. And I wonder where the lions are as they look into the heart of man. And I wonder where the lions are in this curiosity, in the straits of man, in helping man get his head right, through animus of the stone people to roll right stone in this phenomenon of man. This is the divine plan right here and right now. And I wonder where the lions are. Dear friend, they are right here in me and you, doing this duty, walking beauty. If we ever wake up long enough to see them, the lions give us the power of speech, the power of beauty. The lions give us courage to hold on, to have love and rage fiercely, to stalk, to pray, to hunt, to overcome, to accomplish, to walk in power, to walk in a royal way, in harmony with peace and justice, to walk in ecstasy of love and life, to walk in the beauty way. Ah, I wonder where the lions are. Dear friend, go out and wonder where the lions are today. May peace be with you and many blessings.